What's going on, guys? JPB Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Tuesday. And for today's matchup, I'm bringing you a prankkids versus Invoked Shaddoll matchup with my opponent going first. Now, you guys will see over here, I preemptively maxi my opponent on my opponent's draw phase. Now, this is not a thing that you should do, but you can do, in the sense that sometimes people play decks that start their turn off by special summoning monsters on the field, in which case, maxing your opponent on draw phase is really good. But versus that, there are times where you want to maxi your opponent once it's a guarantee that your opponent will special summon a monster on the field. So it will guarantee you a one card draw. But it's a judgment call on your part. For me, I thought maxing him on draw phase was an okay call, so I did that. And my opponent responds with an instant call by the grave on my maxi. So this lets me know my opponent is playing somewhat of a combo deck, or he will go into a combo by special summoning cards on the field. My opponent starts off his turn by normaling out Alistair, activates it, searches for the invocation, links off into Artemis, standard one card Alistair into Mechaba combo that my opponent was doing. Activate invocation, banish the Artemis plus the Alistair, go into Mechaba as I said before. With that, he's going to set down one card, activate invocation, target the Alistair, add it back to his hand to bounce the invocation into his main deck. Ends his turn. Now at this point, I was really hoping to draw into a Kaiju. If I drew into a Kaiju or an Imperm or a Forbidden Droplet, I could have just negated the Mechaba completely and gone into my play afterwards safely. So let's see what we draw into. Draw into a cross-out designator. Now that is pretty, it's an okay draw. It's not a bad draw, it's an okay draw. But it's not something like Kaiju, Forbidden, or Imperm where it's a guarantee I will have access to my full combo. So I normal out my dropsies, go into my combo. I was 100% hoping my opponent would have used Mechaba to negate my first graveyard activation. If my opponent had done that, I would not have been able to use Thunder Dragon Fusion to go into my Butler. Because if he allows this to go through, it's a guaranteed Butler on the field for me. So let's see how my opponent responds. He allows my combo to go through. Now this guy is playing extremely greedy, okay? He wants to use Mechaba to negate my Doodle-Doo and banish my Doodle-Doo from the field. He's playing greedy that way to get a banish, so that way one of my Doodle-Doos will be banished. But this guy does not know I have Thunder Dragon Fusion in my hand. This will basically guarantee me a Butler play. And for that to happen, I have to chainlink one Fansies and chainlink two Doodle-Doo. Otherwise, if I chainlink two Fansies and he negates the Fansies, my Fansies will be negated and I will not have Lamsies on the field to go into my Butler afterwards. So this is one of the big reasons why I chainlink Fansies 1 and then chainlink Doodle-Doo 2, even though my Doodle-Doo will get banished. I do not care about it. He sends one Alistair from his hand since it's a monster effect, and then negates plus banishes my Doodle-Doo off of the Mechaba. So now, my Thunder Dragon Fusion is online because I will get the Lamsey special on the field. And Thunder Dragon Fusion can send back cards from the field, from the banishment pile, or from the graveyard to activate itself. So I do just that, Thunder Dragon Fusion, send 3 cards back from the field and the graveyard, go into my Butler. And with that, I use Fusion Destiny as well to go into my DPE, to which my opponent responds with a Crossout Designator. I had a Crossout Designator as well, so I Crossout Designate his Crossout Designate by banishing a Crossout Designate from my main deck. So this whole thing goes through, negate the Crossout Designate, my Fusion Destiny goes through, I get DPE on the field. Now, with this, what I could have done was attack into him with DPE, into his Mechaba, killed off his Mechaba, done 400 damage to him, and then hit him in the face with my Butler for 3k. But I did not want to take the risk because if he had another Alistair in his hand, my DPE would have died off afterwards. So I did not want to take the risk. So what I did was just use my DPE, pop itself, pop his Mechaba. Activate DPE in the graveyard, battle phase, my Butler hits him in the face for 3k, I end my turn. So let's see how my opponent plays afterwards. Draws a card, standby phase, my DPE comes back on the field again in defense. This is just to play around Lightning Storm. He activates Magical Meltdown, which I instantly use my DPE and pop. This Magical Meltdown would have searched him for Alistair, which I do not want happening, so I just kill up the Magical Meltdown, activate DPE from the graveyard again, and this guy had Invocation in his hand. So by banishing the Alistair he had in his graveyard, plus my DPE that I had in my graveyard, he goes into the Agodius. Now Agodius will pop one special summoned monster on the field when it is special summoned on the field itself. He targets my Butler with the Agodius, so I use my Butler's pop, banish my Meowmoo. So that way, his Agodius will pop my Butler, and I will get the Butler's graveyard activation to pull one card from the graveyard and put it on the field. And the only cards I could have put at that point were the Celestial plus the Dasher. Those were the only two monster cards I had in the graveyard which I could have put on the field, so I put Dasher on the field. He activates Invocation, gets the Alistair back in his hand, and normals out Alistair, which searches for Invocation again, activates Invocation, goes into another freaking Mechaba by banishing the Alistair plus the Agodius in his graveyard. Goes into battle phase, kills off my Dasher with the Mechaba, main phase 2, end his turn. So now I'm worried about the one card that he had in his hand. I did have a combo starter card in my hand, but if that one card in his hand turns out to be a monster card, he can just use the Mechaba to negate my graveyard activation. So at this point, again, I'm really hoping to draw into a Kaiju. So if I draw into a Kaiju, it's pretty much game over. So let's see what I draw into. And what's the card I draw into? None other than freaking Kaiju. And with the DPE activation that I had before, I get the Dasher on the field as well. I immediately proceed to Kaiju his Mechaba and then show him my Dropsies, go into my combo afterwards. Normal out my Dropsies, go into Meowmoo special, and with this, since I had Dasher on the field, I know I have an easy lethal because I will have 3 materials on the field with a link to as one of the material. So what does that mean? That's an easy access code, and access code comes on the field with 5300 attack, which will kill my opponent outright. Once he sees I have access to my access code, my opponent just scoops. He does not want to stay there and deal with my access code, which I'm going to use to kill him. That's going to be the end of the game, guys. If you guys do like this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to my channel for more daily prank kid video uploads, and if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule is going to be in the video description itself for you guys to check out. This is JPBduel signing out for today. See you guys in the next video. Peace!